Hello and welcome back to Toadstool Tarot. I received today the Deviant Moon Tarot Paradoxical Edition, which I pre-ordered out of FOMO because it's limited to 500 copies and I was afraid of missing out. Now, I usually like to wait until I've seen walkthroughs of a deck before I purchase, just to make sure I'm going to enjoy every card. This time I took a risk on only having seen 3 or 4 images that I liked. And I don't own the Deviant Moon Tarot, the regular edition, because I found it off-putting and just not quite right for me. But the coloration that appeared in this deck, I quite liked. And I thought, well, maybe it will change my perception of the deck. So I went ahead and placed my order, and it arrived today. It comes in a tuck box. It's sort of negative or solarized images of the original deck. There is no little white book in this box. I guess he assumes that if you're buying this deck, you know what you're doing with regards to tarot, so you don't need one. It did come with this bonus card, which is a beautiful piece of art in both a regular and a paradoxical version. The card is larger than the deck and does not fit in the box to store, so you're going to have to display it somewhere or store it in some other manner. Now, I have a love-hate relationship with Patrick Valenza's art. I love his artwork. I do find that it's a little on the creepy side to the extent that it sometimes brings me down. I find myself unable to get anything light or positive out of it. It just takes me to the dark side and leaves me there. But I do think he's a genius of our time. He's sort of the 21st century Hieronymus Bosch with a little bit of Salvador Dali thrown in. This deck, did I say already, doesn't come with a little white book. The cards, that's the title card. There's a little explanation, there's a little number on the back for the limitation. It's a little explanation here by Patrick. And he even says in here, part reading deck, part art deck. I hope you enjoy your stay on the other side of the moon. I think even if I find that I'm not able to read with this deck, it will be a wonderful collectible art deck. And another reason why I got it before seeing it is if I decided that I really didn't get on with it, the resale value is probably rather high, him being very popular and this being limited to 500 copies. These are the blue backs. I'm not real taken with this design, but it's kind of growing on me, and I really love that blue. These are borderless cards. They're kind of dark. The images are in sort of beiges and gray backgrounds, and there are bright pops of color that are in like, I want to say neon, almost neon pinks, oranges, lime greens, and purples and blues. I think one of the reasons that I originally didn't like the original edition was it had for me, particularly in the Pentacles suit, but even in here, although it's de-emphasized, a kind of a urban industrial feeling that I found kind of dark and oily, greasy, kind of depressing, on the depressing side. These don't seem to read the same way for me. And so I think the colors here sort of resurrect this deck for me in a way that I think I'm going to be able to enjoy it. I really love the color palette that's brought out in these cards. This is sort of one of the industrial looking cards I was talking about, Chariot, but you'll see them more in the Pentacles as well. There's a kind of a down and dirty, earthy quality to the Pentacles. Also, I think I may have a little bit more trouble reading these in the low light I have in my apartment. The camera seems to be picking them up pretty well, but I'm in a dimly lit apartment. I do have a headlamp, and that really makes these shine. Beautiful green. Beautiful orange. It's almost a kind of a salmon color. I have heard from other people online who ordered this deck who also were not particularly drawn to Deviant Moon. And I don't know if it was the color palette in these that changed it up for them. I'll be curious to see how popular this is and whether Patrick will do another edition if the 500 sell out quickly. I have a number of his decks. I do bring them out from time to time to have a look. I have done some work with the Triomphe de la Luna in a Tarot de Marseille study group. And I liked his Abandoned Oracle very much. That was a favorite. And the Mildred's Pocket Oracle I didn't like in the tiny version. I found the number of cards unwieldy. But in the playing card size, it's a joy. Although I'm finding I'm not really using it too much lately as an oracle either. When I do, I pull all the really dark cards and they just kind of leave me not wanting to use it. I mean, when you go to consult an oracle and the first cards that come up are the Hag or the Devil. Yeah, I'm just not sure. This is a beautiful card here. This might be my favorite card in this deck. I did have a quick look through before we're recording this. I'm curious if you own and love the regular Deviant Moon. What are your feelings about this version? And do you own any of the other Paradoxical editions that may be telling in terms of your attitude towards this deck? At the moment, I'm mostly relating to this deck in terms of the color palette and the colors, more so than the content in the images. I'm going to need a lot more time to sit with those and contemplate them. It's a Punch and Judy Puppet Theater. Actually, his work reminds me a lot. It's very typical, I think, of the sort of comical yet sadistic sort of nature of Punch and Judy shows. Oh, that one's nice. I love this salmon with this kind of aqua or Mediterranean kind of green. Not sure how these were done. It's interesting that we have just sort of spot colors that jump off the page, and elements in the background are not colored so much. They're more like in sepia tone or beiges or grays. I don't know if these, strictly speaking, were color negatives, or if he emphasized particular aspects in each image for the colors to stand out. The cardstock is really nice. This was one of the original images that was advertised that made me pause to consider if I wanted to buy this deck, and I quite liked it. This reminds me very much of Hieronymus Bosch. There are a couple of Bosch decks out, one that actually incorporates Bosch's art, and another one that tries to reimagine it by another artist, trying to emulate Bosch's style. That's one of the Lo Scarabeo decks that I have trouble with. I don't like it when they don't use the original art, but they have somebody else try to imitate the art. The other deck that uses Bosch's art appears quite beautiful. It works with a lot of details from his paintings. Unfortunately, it veers off the traditional RWS system. I believe it has 5 suits instead of 4. And I just didn't want to take on dealing with a different system. I like this a lot. Is this the 8 of Wands? I think I'm going to have to walk through this a couple more times to be certain that I know what cards are what. They are not, they do have numbers on them, but they're not labeled. So this is the 10 of Wands, and I recognize it from the pose, and these look like wands. A couple of the earlier ones, I think I wasn't sure if they were wands or swords. I think when the Deviant Moon originally came out, I was intrigued by it. And at the time, I was buying a lot of tarots in tins. And I thought I had seen a version of it in a tin, but I must have dreamed it, because I thought, well, I'm going to let it pass by. I'll wait until it comes out in a tin, and I'll buy that one. But it never did, so I must have falsely imagined it. It seems like something that US Games could do, though. thanks for spending this time with me to have another look at this deck. And I'm curious as to what you think of it. Cards feel really nice. Don't think I'll have any trouble shuffling. Let me see how it compares size-wise. Oh, it's a little bit narrower and a little taller than the traditional tarot card size. Interesting. So thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you all next time. Take care. Bye-bye.